Eala opens Australian Open debut versus US ace Parks. Manila, Filipino tennis sensation Alexandra Eala will kick off her campaign at the Australian Open against American Alicia Parks at Melbourne Park on Sunday. The 20-year-old reached a career-high number 49 after reaching the semi-finals of the ASB Classic in Auckland, New Zealand on January 10. Seeded number 4 in the WTA 250 event, Eala fell to number 7 seed Chinese Wang Xinyu, 7-5, 5-7, 4-6. At the Kuyang Classic on Wednesday, the 2025 SEA Games gold medalist defeated Croatian Dana Vekic, 6-3, 6-4, in their exhibition match. Eala also conquered the 2024 Paris Olympic silver medalist at the ASB Classic round of 32, 4-6, 6-4, 6-4. Eala hopes to carry the momentum when she meets the 6'1" Parks, currently number 100 in the WTA rankings. Parks, winner of 3 WTA 125 title, peaked at number 40 in 2023. The Atlanta native made history on her Grand Slam debut at the 2021 US Open, blasting a 129 miles per hour serve to duplicate Venus Williams' record, achieved in 2007, fourth fastest serve by a woman at the tournament's history. Eala is the first Filipino to win a Grand Slam match in the Open era when she scored a 6-3, 2-6, 7-6, 13-11 victory over 14th seed Clara Towson in the first round of the 2025 US Open. As a wild card at the WTA 1000 Miami Open, she beat 3 Grand Slam champions in a row to reach the semifinals. Eala earned her first WTA title after prevailing over Hungary's Punna Udvardy, 1-6, 7-5, 6-3, at the Guadalajara 125 Open in Mexico last September. When the sun rose over Melbourne, Eala's Australian Open debut. The Melbourne morning carried a particular kind of promise, bright, relentless, and alive with the echoes of bouncing tennis balls. The Australian Open has always been a place where dreams either bloom under the sun or melt beneath it. On this day, as the gates opened and the courts shimmered, Alexandra Eala stepped into that dream for the very first time. Across the net waited Alicia Parks, the American powerhouse whose game crackled with raw speed and fearless intent. It was a matchup written not just in the draw sheet, but in contrast, finesse versus force, patience versus power, a rising Filipina star against one of the most explosive hitters from the United States. For Eala, this was not just a debut. It was a statement waiting to be spoken. A long journey to a short walk. The walk from the locker room to the court is brief, but it carries the weight of years. For Eala, it carried Manila mornings, Madrid afternoons at the Rafa Nadal Academy, Junior Grand Slam trophies, and the quiet expectations of a nation that has watched her grow with hope in its eyes. The Australian Open is unforgiving to newcomers. The courts are fast, the crowds curious but demanding, and the heat a constant test of resolve. Yet Eala's face showed calm, a composure built not overnight, but through seasons of disciplined belief. She had been here before in spirit, watching matches on television, imagining herself in the white lines, under the blue sky. Now the imagining was over. The power across the net. Alicia Parks did not enter gently. Her serve announced itself like thunder, flat, heavy, and unapologetic. Each swing of her racket carried intent, as if she meant to shorten the day, to impose her will quickly. Parks represents the modern American game. Athletic, aggressive, and fearless. She thrives on first strikes, on taking time away from opponents, on turning rallies into sudden conclusions. For a debutante like Eala, this was the kind of first-round test that leaves no room for hesitation. But if Parks brought power, Eala brought something else, clarity. Finding rhythm in the noise. Early games passed quickly, Parks dictating with serve and forehand. Yet Eala did not retreat. She absorbed, adjusted, and waited. Her footwork was precise, her timing measured. She redirected pace rather than matching it, choosing angles over brute force. There is a quiet intelligence to Eala's tennis. Each rally feels like a conversation rather than a confrontation. She listens, responds, and slowly changes the tone. The crowd began to notice. A long rally here. A perfectly timed backhand there. A drop shot that kissed the net and died softly on the other side. These were not accidents, they were expressions of a player unafraid to trust her craft on a big stage. Pressure, the invisible opponent. Debuts are strange things. You play an opponent, but you also play the moment. Every point carries a whisper, this is your first Australian Open match. Remember this. Eala handled it with remarkable restraint. She did not rush between points. She wiped her face, adjusted her strings, and breathed. Each serve toss was deliberate, each return a calculated decision. Parks, sensing resistance, raised her level. The rallies shortened, the winners flew, and the match became a tug-of-war between patience and impatience. Under the scorching sun, both players were tested, not just physically, but mentally. More than a match. Regardless of the scoreboard, something deeper unfolded on that court. For Filipino fans watching back home, some in the early hours of the morning, this was history in motion. A Filipina athlete competing on one of tennis' grandest stages, not as a novelty, but as a legitimate contender. Eala's presence alone expanded the map of the sport. She carried herself not as someone grateful to be there, but as someone who belonged. That distinction matters. It signals a future rather than a fleeting moment. Lessons written in sweat. Matches like this are chapters, not conclusions. Against Park's power, Eala learned the margins of the professional game, how small openings vanish, how one loose game can swing momentum, how belief must be renewed point by point. Win or lose, debuts shape players. They strip away illusion and replace it with clarity. They show what works, what must improve, and what kind of competitor you are when the lights are brightest. Eala showed she is one who stays. The beginning, not the end. As the match reached its final moments, the applause was sincere. It was not just for winners struck or games held, but for courage displayed. For a young player stepping into the furnace and choosing to play her game anyway. The Australian Open has seen countless first matches. Some fade into memory, others mark the first page of a long story. For Alex Eala, this debut felt like the latter. Under the Melbourne sun, against a powerful American opponent, she didn't just open her Australian Open account, she opened a door. And beyond it lies a future still unwritten, but undeniably bright.